So I'm like, all right, I can't do this. It's a bad idea. Like, you know, obviously, for those who have seen it, a big part of the show is trying to, you know, showcase inspirational characters and, you know, people who are really devoted. Anyway, you get the point. This was not that. And so I'm like, all right, I devised a little plan in my head, which I was quite proud of at the time, that I was going to fake the inhale and just blow the smoke around my mouth, and then just, you know, blow it right out, and, you know, be like that, and be like, yeah, what up? And so I was planning on doing that, and then I looked over to my left again, and these guys weren't rolling like 3 or 4 joints. It was like an assembly line of just like rolling like, I don't know, a dozen, one for everyone, I'm not really sure. And so I'm like, oh man, this is bad news, but I still stick to my guns. Like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna blow this right back out and it'll be all good. And so I see them, you know, they all start to get, you know, passed around, and it eventually gets to me. And as it's starting to get passed to me, I just see like 30 eyes, just slowly in slow motion. They're like, oh. And so I take the thing, and I mean, you know, I have no choice, so I do it. And I blow it, you know, I you know, let it go, and I, you know, kind of proudly, like, you know, hold it for a second, and then I look over at Mano, and I'm like, you like that, huh? I hit that. You know, I'm adapting, man. I got your culture down pat. And I passed it over to him, and he looked at me, and he was like, man, are you crazy? Smoking, drugs? I don't do that stuff. Get that out of my face. And he walked off. And not only did he just walk off, he left for like 3 hours. And or not 3 hours, that's totally exaggerating, like an hour. And so it was just like an hour of me sitting in the stairwell, and Jonah's like holding the camera like, yo dude, is Mano coming back? And we're just, and it, to me it almost felt like a test, and it was, and listen, the point of that story is not smoke pot, make friends by any stretch of the imagination. The point of the story was just, you know, it was funny to me how he came back an hour later, and I learned that with all the subjects that I ended up, you know, and people that I ended up moving in with, was just myself being able to adapt and being able to show that I cared and that I was in it for just the pure curiosity and wanting to get a better understanding. And if there was a friendship that came along with that, great. If not, you know. And so, you know, I did that. We went ahead and edited the what was it, probably like 40 hours of footage. And I was just editing it in my apartment off of a computer that I edited Room 335 off of. And I sent MTV the 5 minutes of footage and was like, what do you think? And they were like, oh wow, this is pretty good. Could you make it 10 minutes long? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? You know, so I went back to my apartment. I started editing the footage of myself and Mano and gave it back to them, and they were like, oh, this is pretty good. Could you make it like 15 minutes long? Okay, here we go. So I went back to my place, I, you know, a little of this, a little of that. A couple weeks later, I was like, here's 15 minutes of footage. And then they called me back, and they were like, Jenks, we really like this. In fact, and I don't remember what his title was. It was something important, like the VP of programming. Let's just call him the VP. They were like, the VP loved the 15 minutes so much, he wants to come to your office and check out like your process and how you work and like everything. He's like really into it. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Where'd you say we're meeting? And she was like, your office. And I was like, terrific. And I hung up the phone and was like, I got 1 week to find an office.